Before we move into Rupert Spira's words, I invite you to slow down, not just in your body, but in your inner attention. In this talk, he's not giving us something to add to our mind. He's inviting us to notice what's always been present, even when the mind is busy, even when the heart is aching. He asks a deceptively simple question. What is the nature of your mind before a thought arises? Not as a concept, not as a definition, but as a direct glimpse. We're so used to focusing on what appears, thoughts, emotions, memories, perceptions. But what about the field in which they appear? What about that quiet space before a thought beneath a feeling, like clouds that form in a sky, or emails that arrive on an empty screen? Our experiences arise in something, but we rarely turn our attention toward that something. Rupert doesn't want you to answer with a word. He's inviting you to look, to become aware of the field itself. Now, the one that's never hurt, never moved, never broken. The open space of consciousness that allows every experience to come and go, but itself never comes, never goes. And here's the paradox. It is because this field is empty, silent, formless, that the fullness of life can arise in it. Without the empty screen, no image. Without the empty sky, no storm. Without awareness, no experience. So as you listen, don't rush to understand. Just rest as the one in whom the question appears. And now, Rupert Spira.
Ask yourself the question, what is the nature of my mind prior to the arising of a thought, sensation, or perception? In order for an email to appear, relatively speaking, there must be some medium present prior to the email upon which it can appear. In order for a cloud to appear, there must be some medium or field present in which the cloud can form. In order for a thought or an image or a feeling, a sensation or a perception to appear, there must be some medium or field present in which that object of experience can arise, exist, and vanish. What is that? Don't answer this question with a word. Just become aware of the medium or the field within which your experience arises. What is its nature? Sensations and perceptions. Just like the screen of our laptop is inherently empty of emails, images, and videos. If the screen were not empty, there would be no room on it for an email or an image. If the sky were not empty, there would be no room within it for the clouds. If the medium within which all experience arises were not itself empty of all objective experience, there would be no room for experience within it. It is on account of the emptiness of this field, the emptiness of objective content, that is, that the fullness of experience can arise within it. Notice that all possible thoughts, images, feelings, sensations and perceptions are able to arise in this field, not just particular types of thought or feeling, but all possible thoughts, feelings, sensations, etc. In other words, this medium or field is wide open without preference or discrimination or resistance. It is, as such, like empty space that does not have the ability to resist whatever appears within it, however good or bad or pleasant or unpleasant that appearance may seem to be. This open, empty, aware field within which all experience arises, exists, and into which it vanishes. To refer to a medium or a field or a space in which our experience arises is not quite right. It is a concession to the mind that wants to explore its experience. Imagine a character in a dream who wants to explore the nature of the knowing with which she knows her experience. The knowing with which the dreamed character knows the dreamed world is, of course, the dreamer's mind. And the dreamer's mind doesn't appear anywhere in the dreamed character's world. It cannot be found anywhere in the time and space that the dreamed character seems to experience. In other words, the dream takes up no time or space in the dreamer's mind. Likewise, the presence, the space-like presence in which our experience arises, that is, our experience of time and space and all the events and objects that appear within it, does not itself appear in time or space. It has no dimensions. But as a concession to the mind that wants to think about the reality of its experience. We permit ourselves to visualize the medium within which all experience arises as a kind of field or space. So allow yourself to understand, but more importantly, feel yourself as the open, empty, aware space or space-like presence within which all your experience arises. See that your thoughts flow through this space like birds flying through the sky. And just as the flight of a bird leaves no trace on the sky, see that no thought leaves a trace in the space of awareness. In other words, a thought doesn't scar awareness. It doesn't leave a trace of itself. However pleasant or unpleasant, however kind or unkind, however true or false the thought may be, makes no difference. It appears, it flows through the space of awareness, it vanishes, leaving awareness in its original, pristine, open, empty, luminous or knowing condition. Remember, I'm not speaking of some abstract metaphysical awareness. I'm speaking of ourself, the very ordinary, familiar, intimate awareness that each of us is. If some thoughts stained or scarred awareness, we would have to get busy disciplining or getting rid of those particular types of thought. We would have to have an agenda with them. But no thought, irrespective of its content, stains or scars the open, empty, luminous field in which it appears, exists, and into which it vanishes. So there is no need to have any agenda whatsoever with the content of your thoughts. The sky has no opinion about the quality of the birds that fly through it or the number of the birds. One of the birds may take issue with the other birds, but the sky itself never takes issue with any of the birds. Likewise, one of our thoughts may take issue with the quality or number of our thoughts. But awareness itself never takes issue with anything. That is why it is always at peace. A peace that is not dependent upon the quality or the number of thoughts we have, but a peace that is prior to and independent of the existence and the quality and the quantity of thoughts. So awareness is the only one that knows anything about awareness. What is awareness's experience of itself? If we ask thought, what do you think about awareness? We all know what thought will say. Thought has been trained by our culture to believe that awareness resides in and is limited to the body. But what is awareness's experience of itself? Try now to find an edge to the field of awareness in which your experience arises. Imagine empty space, empty physical space. And then imagine adding the quality of being aware to empty space. So empty space, empty physical space is no longer an inert space. It is an aware space. Just imagine adding the quality of knowing or being aware to empty space. And now we ask this aware empty space, can you ever find the edge of yourself? What would empty space say? Empty space would explore its experience of itself. And if it could speak, it would say, I find no edge or limit or border to myself. In my own experience of myself, I am without limits. This is what it means in the tradition when it says that awareness is vast. Vaster than anything that appears in experience, because all experience appears within it. Now, awareness is not really vast. Something that is vast is something that is extended indefinitely in all directions of space. The only reason it is said that awareness is vast is as an antidote to the belief that awareness is tiny or small, that is, housed in the body. In relation to the belief that awareness is tiny, that is located in the body, it is legitimate as a first step to consider it to be vast. But in fact, awareness is neither tiny nor vast. It has no dimensions. So having added the quality of being aware or knowing to empty physical space, so we now have this aware, empty physical space. Now remove the physical space. That's what awareness is. Don't try to think about that. It's not possible to think about something with no dimensions. It's not possible to visualize something with no dimensions. So keep this understanding in the back of your mind and permit yourself again to visualize and feel your self-awareness as a vast, open, empty, luminous space within which all experience arises, but which itself has no edge or border or limit. Be knowingly this openness without limits. Wispy. If we are depressed, they will be dark and grey and ominous. But in both cases, in all cases, our feelings are like clouds that arise within this open, empty, luminous field. They are suspended in this field. They flow slowly through this field and vanish into it. And just as no cloud leaves a trace on the sky, no feeling, however dark or difficult it may be, stains the space of awareness in which it appears. If the sky of awareness were harmed in some way or stained in some way by certain feelings, then we would have to have an agenda with those feelings. We would have to prevent them, transform them, dissolve them, etc. But just as no cloud leaves a trace on the sky, so no feeling leaves a trace in awareness. Awareness is always in the same open, empty, pristine, luminous condition. Remember, I'm not speaking about some abstract, philosophical, metaphysical awareness. I'm speaking about ourself, not the self that we might become if we meditate for long enough or practice hard enough, but the self that we are now. The self that we have always been. The self that is intimately one with all experience, but is never harmed or stained by it. See clearly that no experience that arises in this open, empty, luminous field adds anything to it. And when the experience vanishes, it removes nothing from the field. In other words, the open, empty, luminous space of awareness is never aggrandized or diminished by experience. And thus it has no vested interest in experience. No need to reject what is present. No need to seek what is not present.
So we return again, not to a conclusion, but to a widening. Rupert invites us to look, not at awareness, but from it, to rest, not in thought, but in that which holds all thought without effort. Like a dreamed character looking for the dreamer, we cannot point to this space, and yet we are it. No thought leaves a trace. No feeling disturbs the silence it rises from. And awareness, this open, boundless field, doesn't hold grudges, doesn't play favorites, doesn't need to be cleaned or perfected. It welcomes everything and is touched by nothing. You are not the contents of the sky. You are the sky itself, edgeless, luminous, unmoved. There is no distance to travel, no thought to fix, nothing to become. Only this, the peace that was here before the thought, the silence that doesn't mind the noise, the you that is not inside anything, but contains everything. So let the birds fly, let the weather change, let the dream play out. You, the awareness aware of all this, are already free. Thank you for watching. Let this not be something you heard. Let it be something you remember.